Hey guys, sorry you got my little box. It's not a cool green screen this time. But let's go ahead and get started on our graphing inequalities review. So today is just going to be a review of how to graph our inequalities on, instead of number lines this time, on coordinate planes. So they're just like our linear functions, but if you remember with inequalities, we got some solid lines versus dotted lines and some shading going on. So our steps are going to be, okay, I'm going to run through the steps just like I always do with an example. So we're going to have something that looks like this, an inequality. Y is less than 2x plus 3. And we want to graph it here on our coordinate plane. So here is the first step. We're going to change our inequality sign, whatever that inequality sign is. Remember, our inequality signs are the less than, greater than, less than and equal to, or greater than or equal to. And we're going to change that sign to an equal sign. All right, so we're going to replace this less than. Now it's y equals 2x plus 3. I do not know what's going on with my PowerPoint. All right, let's continue on with our example. Put it up there at the top. There's our graph. Step 2 is graph like you would any equation, but we're only going to be plotting points. So now that we changed it to a y equals, we know how to graph these y equals. But all we're going to do is be putting points on our coordinate plane right now. We're not going to draw our lines yet. Okay, so remember plotting points. Let's do our x and y table. And you know I like the easy ones. So if x is -1. So I plug in -1 where I see x. So 2 times -1 plus 3 to get my y, and that is 1. So when x is -1, y is 1. And so that is this point right here. Remember, x's and then y's. Another easy point when x is 0. So 2 times 0 plus 3, y is going to be 3. So when x is 0, y is 3. That's where that point is. Another easy one is when x is just 1. 2 times 1 plus 3 is 5. And that's where our point is. All right. Next step. Still with the same. I do not know what's going on with this PowerPoint. With the same example, here's our points on our coordinate plane that we plotted already. Step number 3. This is where we're going to draw our line, but not all of them are just going to be our solid lines. Some of them might be dotted. So our symbols without the equals symbol, so just the less than or greater than, not the less than and equal to. So when they don't have the line underneath them, then they are going to create our dotted lines. So this is like, remember when we were talking about these before, we were talking about them as open circles. So our lines are going to be dotted. But if we have the equals than sign underneath our inequality sign, then our lines will be solid. That's when you draw a solid straight line. Okay. So our example here, it has just a less than, so that's going to be a dotted line. So draw your line here, dotted. Okay. Here's our example. I do not know, seriously. All right. Step 4, this is where we are shading. And this now determines which side we're shading on, and it is which way the arrow is pointing. What do you guys, is it the alligator? Alligator's eating the bigger number, right? This time, instead of looking at that, we're going to be looking at where it's pointed. So if it is pointed to the right, where it's greater than or equal to or greater than, we're going to shade what we call above the line, which really just means if we've got a line, we're going to shade over here to the right. And then if we have it going the other way, the less than or equal to and the less than symbol, we're going to shade where it's pointing to. So we're going to shade what is going on? We're going to shade below the line. Okay, so our example, it is less than, so we're going to shade below the line. So this is where it's going to look like, what it's going to look like. So this area is all below the line. All right, let me know when you guys have questions.